So I'm here with Tom, and by way of introduction, I'm going to explain a little bit about kind of how you've grown as a painter. So he's a very good painter. And in 2011 at Chicago, you went to Games Day.
Correct.
And you took 2 pieces. And you didn't come home with any Golden Demons, did you?
No.
No. 2012, you went to Chicago and you brought home a gold in vehicle. That was your first big win, correct?
Yeah, that was my kind of first painting award.
Yeah. And that was the yellow orc bomber?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's been in White Dwarf and stuff like that. So you've probably seen that if you watch White Dwarf. It's a great looking piece.
Thank you.
Yeah. And did that kind of reinvigorate you for 2013?
Yeah, that became my mission.
Became a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you took 6 pieces to Games Day 2013 in Memphis.
Correct.
Yeah. And you came home with 3 golds, a silver, Best Forge World, and also the Slayer Sword, which is the best in show for those of you who don't know about the Golden Demon. So this is Tom Ailes III, 2013 United States Slayer Sword winner. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now, we've known each other for quite a while, and we used to play combat patrol tournaments up in Appleton, yep. And you always had a lovely painted Dark Eldar.
Yep.
Yep, those were always nicer looking than my Chaos. So, how long have you been painting?
Since I was a kid.
Yeah.
Go back to, I think the first time I saw like 40K hit the shelves here in the States, probably 88, 89. I picked up a first Rogue Trader army and started tooling around with putting testers paints on with a nylon brush and horrible brush marks and stuff like that. I think everybody's got that childhood experience. But yeah.
Oh, yeah. And so we're talking at this point now, you've been painting for probably how many years?
Well, real seriously, just as kind of like a side hobby for fun, but 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
But never taken it very seriously.
So you just mainly painted and didn't really go and enter contests and things like that.
Never thought I would ever work hard enough or ever be to the standard, especially when I've seen the competition, or at least what's out there over the past 10 years, how radically it's changed. So.
What do you think happened that caused it so that you started to really kind of step everything up? If you were painting and painting and painting, and then you entered a contest, and then you entered it again and won something, and then you came back. I mean, that's a very progressive line. You know what I mean?
I guess, if anything, it was that you realize over the course of your life that you've come back to the same hobby how many times, no matter how many distractions you've had. So it kind of, 2011, it just kind of clicked with me. It was like, I've come back to this now for the 6th time. Mm-hmm. This is obviously something I enjoy.
Yeah.
So this is where I'm going to kind of draw the line in the sand and say I'm going to work on this.
Yeah, no.
I always had like tons of hobbies, and was never the master of any and always good at all of them, But it was finally, I was like, I'm going to just focus everything on this.
Yeah.
So.
But yet now, you're not a commissioned painter, right?
No.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a normal day job, and you go to work in an office and stuff like that. Most of the guys up on that stage, when you were there with the Slayer Sword, most of those guys are probably commissioned painters. You do this because it's your hobby and you love it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's to me, that's the most interesting part, because you get a lot of those guys who are up there who are trying to win this award because it's going to help them, and that's fine. Totally, that's their job.
Oh, yeah.
And this is kind of a benchmark. Yeah. But for you, it was more of a personal benchmark.
Yeah. I like I said, loved it all my life, and it was just kind of wanted to make some fun, cool pieces and really challenge myself, and it worked out.
And you're going to Adepticon as well this year, correct?
Yep.
And you're going to be entering some stuff in the Crystal Brush.
Yep.
You got 4?
Yeah, I'm targeting 4. We'll see how well it works out, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm a painter as well, nowhere in the same realm, but it's one of those things where that as a starting painter, one of the first things you have to kind of figure out and get used to is thinning your paints.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What's kind of the next thing after that? What's the next thing that helps a painter get better after thinning their paints?
If I looked when I took it really seriously, looking at all your tools and how you're cleaning and preparing your paints, like you said, diluting, the quality of the paints that you're using. Mm-hmm. I don't know, for years I used whatever I could find, and then finally decided I got to start using actual pro hobby paints, for many of the popular lines, I think. Moving to a wet palette is obviously pretty critical, especially if you want to get into a lot of heavy blending and everything. But I would say the difference between when I was younger in paint, or even probably over the past 5 years, is the amount of information in books or online that's available that you can just sit and read and find something you really like, and then somebody's written a blog about it. You can kind of dive in and learn more.
And when you first started painting, I mean, you had to learn from the books that you could find. You had to learn from, the things you could come across.
Sure.
But now, if a person's starting out a painting, I mean, with the internet, there's so much.
Oh, there's almost too much.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Like, where do you start? So you got to kind of like pick it and go after it. And from somebody that who always kind of messed around with it and then like jumped in, it is drinking from the fire hose big time. Mm-hmm. And so I stepped back, and over that first year, just really started working on my foundation, like techniques, foundational techniques. Coming out of 2011, they had a Golden Daemon Corral at the game stay that year. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to talk to a lot of Golden Daemon painters. And so that was a huge thing for me to just say, what do you think I need to do next? And they just said, okay, you got to work on this foundational technique, this fundamental thing you got to get down before you can really like step it up. And I don't know, maybe it's just the age I'm at. I don't pass that information off lightly. I go, okay,
well, yeah.
I'm going to work on that. So then that paid off. Yeah.
I think that people who, if you're being told by someone who's an expert, this is what you need to do, I think that you need to be able to take that to heart. And a lot of people don't. They think that they have an idea of what they want to do, and then they hear something they don't like to hear. Yeah. Like do you paint every day?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that there are weeks sometimes that I go by that I don't paint. If you don't paint every day, you're not going to ramp up that skill,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's muscle memory like anything else. You're just getting used to doing it, and before you know it, just becomes kind of secondary like action when you're going through things. So
when you for 2012 leading up to 2013, did you, like those pieces that you took to Games Day, is that pretty much all you worked on that entire year? Mm-hmm. You didn't do other projects and stuff like that? I mean, maybe some test things here and there. But.
Yeah, well, I always kind of test and experiment on stuff because I'm a little unsure of like I want to make sure, kind of check the effect before I'm putting it on the final kit or something. But there were a couple pieces that I did earlier in the year that I just had to work on those basic techniques a little bit more, and before I was ready to jump into something I was really serious about. So I spent quite a bit of time on those, but that was, apart from that, it was mainly the main pieces,
Yeah. So are you a quick painter, do you think?
No. I personally, I just think if you break it down hour per hour, the more time you're going to put in it, the more polished piece you're going to get out of it. Yeah. It's just the fact of it. There are a lot of guys that make amazing looking stuff in a very short amount of time, but I think anytime you spend a little bit more time on it, you're always just going to take it to that next level.
Yeah. So thin your paint, wet palette, good tools, good paints, paint every day. Is there any other kind of things that we can kind of say to people so that they can then also become a Golden Daemon winner?
Yeah, don't be afraid of stuff that's, so if you go into your hobby shop and there's stuff on the rack, that's not all you have to choose from, I guess is what I'm saying. So there's almost anything that's out in the art world is available for hobbying in our hobby. So don't, if it's brushes or additives or enamel paints or pigments, or don't be afraid to try it.
Just because it's not made from Vallejo, GW, or Reaper,
right.
There are other actual art things you can use.
The number of blogs I read or videos I've watched, I read tons of books and watch tons of videos. If somebody puts one out, I probably haven't. I've watched it. That was the thing first thing I saw is people were just grabbing whatever they could. If it made a color and they could apply it with a brush or with a finger or whatever on a model, somebody was trying it and doing it, making an amazing effect. So that kind of blew my mind, because just coming at it from, it's got to be on a brush and it's got to be made by so-and-so. It just doesn't apply. So.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming out to talk to us today, and I'm going to be at Adepticon. You're obviously going to be at Adepticon, and I'm really looking forward to seeing the stuff in the cabinets this year.
Yeah.
Do you see, have you been going to Adepticon recently? Like
for the last 3 or 4 years.
Have you been seeing things ramp up there?
Yeah, yeah. I think it's obviously. I mean, with the cash prize that's on there, it's a major draw from all over the world. I mean, last year was amazing to
Yeah.
see who turned out to compete. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to see who. Not only that, some of the teachers that are going to be there this year. Too.
Yeah.
Some of the classes are going to be amazing.
Did you?
so.
Are you looking for? I mean, is your stuff done, or are you still got some work to do?
Finishing up a diorama piece right now, but then some of the other pieces are pretty much finished up. So.
Cool. All right. Well, I can't wait for Adepticon because I love going there, and I can't
Yeah.
wait to see your stuff there.
Cool.
And thanks for talking to us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. That's
Thanks.
great.